So, hello to everyone. I'm Sangeeta Dwivedi, Assistant Professor of Modern Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Indore. Today, I'm going to give a lecture on epithelial tissue. So, let's begin. These are the contents of today's lecture. First, we are going to have a look on definition, then classification, then detailed classification of epithelial tissue. So, come to the definition. Tissue is a collection of interconnected cells that perform a similar function within an organism. In other words, we can also say it is a group of cells working together mainly inside an organ. So, in human body, there are four basic type of tissues found, and these four basic type of tissues are epithelial tissue and connective tissue, then muscular tissue and nervous tissue. But in today's class, we will be discussing about epithelial tissues only. Here in this picture, all four type of tissues are mentioned. This is a picture of connective tissue. This is epithelial tissue. It's a bit of nervous tissue, and this is showing muscular tissue. But in today's lecture, we are going to see epithelial tissue in detail. So come to the point on epithelial tissue. Let's imagine that you are walking on the road and suddenly it starts raining. Sadly, you don't have an umbrella, and as you reach home, you are soaking wet. So your scientific brain now starts to wonder, my clothes absorbs all raining water, but I was in the rain too. So did my body absorb some water too? Or did rainwater seep into my body? Or will I float with all that water? So let me tell you that our body have a waterproof covering in the form of skin, and this is an organ made up of tissue known as epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue is basically made up of cells which are various shapes and sizes and known as epithelial cells. So epithelial cells cover or line all body surfaces and cavities and tubes. So that's why these are called covering epithelia also. So epithelial cells form the functional unit of secretory glands. So these epithelial cells are also known as glandular epithelia. So here you can see epithelial tissue is also known as covering tissue or glandular tissue, or covering epithelia or glandular epithelia. So here I have added a GIF on a basic epithelial tissue. Here you can see the blue. So this blue side is this blue structure is showing epithelial cell. They are compact in nature, and this is the side which can be outside to the body or inside to the body or any organ. This is known as apical side, this side. And here you can see GIF showing a basal layer. So this is a basal side. These all cells are attached to a basement membrane. So this is the basic structure of any epithelial tissue. So there are many things which you need to keep in your mind about epithelial tissue, like they are closely attached to each other, as you see in just previous slide, and their close attaching nature form a protective barrier. The basic function of epithelial layer is to provide protection. So they are closely attached to each other. There is no gap between two cells, and always they have one free apical surface open to the outside, as I already told you, or inside an internal organ. And they have a one fixed basal section attached to underlying connective tissue with the help of basal membrane. And they do not have any blood vessel supply. They get their nutrients, they got their food, they get their nutrition from the blood vessels found underneath basal membrane. But they have a uh, but they have nerve supply in them, so they are very much innervated. And the last word here is very important, that it is highly regenerative. Means epithelial tissue is highly regenerative in nature, means epithelial tissue heals very well. uh, for an example, you can see in sunburn cases or in skinned knee, they get regenerated very fast. Where in your body epithelial tissue presents? Someone may say a skin, but you will be shocked to know that the inside of respiratory and digestive system are also made up of epithelial tissue. Now you can know that epithelial tissue found almost everywhere in our body. So based on the function and location, there are various type of epithelial tissue. So there on the basis of there is two bases for the classification of epithelial tissue. First is on the basis of their thickness, and the other is on the basis of their shape. So their names will be little confusing, so we will learn a way to remember the names by understanding their function in our body. So coming back to the types of tissue, here let's start with the classification of epithelial tissue according to the thickness. So we can classify the epithelial tissue into two forms. One is simple epithelial tissue, other is stratified epithelial tissue. So when we are talking about simple epithelial tissue, means that tissue have only one cell layer, and if we are saying that the epithelial tissue is stratified, means that tissue have more than one layer of cells. Now come to the next point, that is classification of epithelia based on the shape of cell. So first is squamous epithelial tissue, other is cuboidal, and third is columnar. So we will learn in detail about these shapes after the slide. So, so you can see epithelial tissue basically classified on the basis of these two characteristics together. Okay, let's see how. Here in this picture, these are columnar cell. So obviously these are much more like a column, means their length is high as compared to their width. This is the example of columnar cell. And these are the cell of cuboidal cell because they are looks like a cube, like a ice cube. So their width and their length both are same. That's why they look like a cube, and their name is uh, cuboidal. This is squamous cell. These are flat cells. They are much more like a floor in our house. So these are squamous cell. Underneath of these epithelial tissue, a connective tissue is found, from where these all epithelial tissue get their nutrition. So this is a simple squamous epithelium. As I have already told you, these cells are look like a square, look like a floor, look like a tiles found in our houses. So you can easily see these are very much flat cells arranged in a single layer. Because they are arranged in a single layer, that's why here we are saying this is a simple squamous epithelium. They are arranged in single cell and their shape is flat cells. That's why these are the example of simple squamous epithelium. So basic function of simple squamous epithelium is the passive transport of gases and fluids, and they are found in the alveoli of lungs and also in the lining of blood vessels. So as we all know that during respiration we take in oxygen, and the oxygen first enter our lungs, and for, into our lungs, and from there it has to be transported into our blood. So for this, the transfer is, it is better to have, for the transfer it is better to have only one single layer of cell. That's why in the lining of blood vessels, in the lining of our lungs, simple squamous epithelium is found. So we remember why it is found in lining of blood vessels and lungs, because we need to transfer gases from lungs to blood. So it is good that these those have only single layer of cell, so that the transfer would be easy. Now the second is stratified squamous epithelium. The shape of cell is same. See, the shape is a squamous, means the cells, all cells are flat in their shape. But now the arrangement is different. That is why we are telling this is an example of stratified squamous epithelium. So here you can easily see there is a many layers arranged above one above. So the basic function of stratified squamous epithelium is provide protection, and their location is in our oral cavity, in cervix, and in anal canal. These all areas are very much susceptible for rubbing, and for that they are easily get damaged. So here stratified squamous epithelium is found so that they can regenerate at very fast rate. Next is simple cuboidal epithelium. Because it is a simple, that means they all cells are arranged into a single layer, and the basic function of the simple cuboidal epithelium is secretion and absorption, and they located in our kidney tubules and secretory portion of small glands and ovary surface. These all made up of simple cuboidal epithelium. Next is stratified cuboidal epithelium. Here you can see all cell shapes are cubes, but in place of single layer, there are multiple layer of cuboidal cells are present. That's why it is known as stratified cuboidal epithelium. Remember one thing, that whenever it is stratified epithelium, it must be their function, it should be protection. They provide protection to something. These stratified cuboidal epithelium found on large duct of sweat glands, mammary glands, and our salivary glands. Next is simple columnar epithelium. These are the single layer of tall cells with round to oval nuclei. And here one thing is, remember about simple columnar epithelium, that it can be found in two types. First is ciliated columnar epithelium and other is non-ciliated columnar epithelium. So this picture is showing non-ciliated epithelia and this is showing ciliated columnar epithelium. This structure, these hair-like structures are known as cilia. So if they found on the surface of columnar epithelium, that is known as non-ciliated columnar epithelium, and if columnar cells don't have these cilia on their apical surface, they are come under the category of non-ciliated columnar epithelium. Because here we are talking about simple columnar epithelium, here only one layer of cell is found attached to the basement membrane. So their basic function is secretion of mucus, enzymes and other substances, and also absorption. They are found in digestive tract and gallbladder. Next is stratified columnar epithelium. As we discussed, because they are stratified, here you can see there is more than one layer of cells in this picture, and all cells are in columnar in shape. That is why it is known as stratified columnar epithelium. It also provide protection and secretion, and this is multi-layered superficial cells, elongated and columnar in shape. Next is pseudostratified columnar epithelium. The word pseudo means false. So the basic meaning of this is false stratified columnar epithelium. As you can see in this picture that these are basically single layered cell. All cells are attached to the basement membrane. These all cells are attached to the basement membrane. Only single layer of cell is found. But not all reach the free surface. Not all cells are capable to reach here. Only few cells are capable to reach their apical surface. This is also cell, but it is not capable to reach here. So they give an assumption that this is a arrangement of two layer of cells. But actually this is only one layer of cells and all cells are attached to basal membrane. So basic function of this pseudostratified columnar epithelium is a secretion and propulsion of mucus. And this is located in the line of trachea in human body. So in this lecture, we have seen all the types of epithelial tissue and their location with their function in our body. In this picture, I have summarized all the types with their diagrams. So this is all for today. Thank you so much.